If you're watching this, you're watching the replay. Mons from Norway with his beautiful mustache and this t-shirt. Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I plan on doing a live shaping. I'm going to be using the Cowles Mustache Wax. Really great wax out of Australia. Hello, how are you? So I thought I would show you how I go through shaping my mustache, show you the fundamentals of what I do, and then I've got some packages that came in the mail. I thought I would open them up and share them with you guys, but I will do the mustache first, and then we'll open up a couple things, and then I'll finish up the mustache. So happy Sunday. For those of you who are new to my page, I am Bob, and this is Elliot North's My Mustache. I started growing facial hair as a dayer in December of 2018. I grew a beard down to about here. I saw lots of beautiful beards, so I wanted to rock a mustache for a while. So I took the beard off, started rocking the mustache, and really made me stand out. So that's how I've gotten to where I'm at now. What's going on? What's going on, Tom Mustache Wax? So I'm going to go ahead and shape up my mustache. I don't have anything in the flask right now, but if I did, it would be fiery, right? So what do I do with my mustache? I do wash my mustache with a beard wash. Head shampoo is not really designed for your face. Your face needs a certain amount of oil for the facial hair to be healthy. So if you're using a head shampoo, you could be stripping out oils necessary for good, healthy hair growth. If the question comes up, I have trimmed my mustache 5 major times, and it was only the ends, and I took off about 13.5 inches in total. Not all at once, but, you know, in total. So my mustache is clean. It is dry. I have what's going on? I have no oils, no balms, no pomades. Nothing is in my mustache other than maybe a couple of crumbs from the Chex Mix that I was eating. If you're using mustache wax is oil soluble. So if you put beard oil in and then you go to put mustache wax in, it's not really going to firm up. It'll stay kind of like sticky. So while it was a little bit damp, I ran a blow dryer, just kept kind of brushing it back towards my ears. One of the questions I get asked quite often, how I combat the mustaches tilting forward or turning forward. First step is I blow dry it and brush it back towards the jawline ear, right? Because the mustache is going to want to come around to the front. And if I don't do anything, my mustache will actually turn like this, right? And I'll look like an ant with pincers. So I blow dried it a while ago. Now I comb it to align it, and there's different ways. I'll go through a couple different ways that I have styled my mustache and show you the method I use most often. That way, if anybody's like, well, how come you don't do this or how come you don't do that, I'll show you the differences between them. Does that sound cool? I think this will take maybe 30, 40 minutes. We'll have a little fun. I'll try to keep my eye out for questions. These are Kent mustache combs. I have many different combs. The mustache key comb. I have some from Death Grip, metal ones. These are resin ones. I don't typically have plastic ones. The straight plastic, as you're combing, you'll build up static electricity, which can make transfer the static to your facial hair, which then can give you a lot of flyaway hairs, right? All right. What mustache wax am I using today? I'm using Cowles. This is from Australia. Comes in this wonderful tin. I forget, this is not your standard 1 ounce. It is a 1.4 ounce, and I believe this is their Outback scent. I also have their cherry vanilla, which smells amazing. Yeah, I really like the Kent combs. The problem is, like, I was carrying these around in my pocket, and I've lost a couple of these. Some of the combs I have holes through them. You can put them on your keychain. It's a lot harder to lose them. So, Cowles mustache wax from Australia, Outback scented. So, mustache clean and dry. Typically, all of the mustache wax makers, they will have the same starting point, which is scrape some out with your thumb, usually about the size of a pea, right? So what does that mean? About yay big, right? That's the size of a pea. Rub it between your fingers. That's your heat source. So this is on your medium to medium strong. If you can't really scrape it out, you may need to apply a little bit of heat to it with, say, a hairdryer 10, 15 seconds. You don't want to turn it to lava. You just want to soften it so that you can scrape it out. Now, I typically do a little bit more, but we'll start right here. So, how do I test the wax, I guess, or demonstrate the wax? Squish it between the fingers, right? Press it down. And if you notice, my fingers are sticking, right? The wax is tacky. So, now we're going to talk about pliability. You change the pliability by rubbing it between your fingers like this, coating your fingers, you're warming it, you're thinning the wax out, because that's room temperature consistency. It's firm. So I need to warm it to change its pliability. I'm coating my fingers. Hopefully you guys can see it, right? A little bit of white on there. And what I do, and what most mustache wax makers will tell you, is start in the middle and work your way out. Now, I got away from that for a while, and I've gotten back to it, and the reason I'm glad I did is that as you breathe, this whole area right here is going to loosen the fastest or first. So by returning back to the middle and starting with your wax there, you're building up the best coating, right? Multiple layers can help when things get warm. So what I do is I have the wax on these fingers. This hand is free of wax. And I'm just putting a little bit of tension. And what I typically do is I shape it towards my shoulder, right? For most of my mustache styles. There are some guys that when you're doing it in English, you need to bring it together, right? And they'll start shaping it up and out that way, right? Now, I do what I call a pinch and slide. I take the wax and I'm pinching with my fingers and I'm applying it and sliding it, right? So I'm trying to keep all of my hairs aligned, kind of like they are. If they get out of whack, what you can do later is take you a comb and just go through. If you have a strong wax, it's recommended hit your mustache with a little bit of like low heat just to soften it. Don't put it right here. Maybe, out here just enough so that you can put a comb in and comb to keep the hairs aligned. Plus it spreads the wax between the hairs. If it's a really strong wax, and you just jam a comb in and try to do that, you're going to yank a lot of hairs, or could yank a lot of hairs. I know I did in the past. So let me show you how much I typically use. My mustache is pretty thick, right? So just a pea size, it would take me a little bit more. I've been doing this for a little over 3 years, so I will typically get out a little bit more. Let me show you how much I kind of go with. See how that's much bigger than that little pea size we had earlier? That's typically what I start with. My baseline is usually 3 applications about this size. Then I'll put a 4th, maybe out on the ends. And then I step back. I let it set for about 5 minutes to return to that room temperature consistency where it's a little firmer. So as you can see how sticky it is? Now I'm going to go through here, warm it up. And this makes it more pliable, right? You can see it's coating, but look. It's not sticking as much, not as tacky, which is okay. I'm returning right here to the middle and working my way out. And you can see it's already starting to coat the hairs. The ends will get enough. As you can see, it's already starting to come off of my fingers. But I'm going to start right here in the middle. Sometimes I'll pull these guys to the side. All right, so I'm going to show you what I was doing in the beginning, right? I would get some wax in, and then I would take my mustache and I would start to twist it, right? Twist, 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 twist. All right? And I've got wax on my fingers. Right? And that's not too bad. Right? But now I got to fight with it because now I've kind of changed the orientation where I had it going back. If I twist it like this, I have to really play with those ends to try to get them up this way. Right? And it's already, you can see, it's already starting to go forward. One of the other things I found is I was twisting so much, I was putting a lot of tension on the hairs there. Drove me absolutely crazy. Now, what do you think will happen if I were to let this really firm up and I need to stick a comb in there, right? All those hairs are like this, and I put a comb in there and I try to pull it through, I'm going to yank out hairs. So that's one of the reasons I don't do that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it out, bring it back. I'll run a comb through it, as you can see, right? Spread the wax and align the hairs. The comb went through relatively easy. Another method I used to do is I would take the hairs, pinch them together, and I would do horizontal, right? Instead of vertical. I may have to put a little more wax on the fingers. And I kind of bunch them up. I'm gonna get just a little more wax so I can stick those hairs together. When you do comb, it can loosen the wax because you've thinned it out a little. Just gonna put a little more on there. Boop, boop. And I didn't return to the center, did I? No, I didn't. That's all right. So what I used to do is I used to pinch it through here, right? And then I would just kind of make like a cone. A buddy of mine, he called these landing strips, right? And you can see the orientation. And then from there, I would pinch it, and then I would start to try to bend it like this. And it would still try to go a little forward, but for a while, that's what I did is I pinched it right there because it holds it together. And then I would put a little more wax in, and I would just make it curl like that. So kind of give you an idea of what it looked like from the side. And there's nothing wrong with either of those methods. I'm just showing you what I did do in the beginning. Always got to keep your hands clean, because if not, you'll get a wax buildup on these fingers and they can get tacky in there. So paper towel, if you're using really strong wax, I recommend like a shop rag or a towel, because I had some strong wax one day and I grabbed a paper towel and I cleaned it off and I left fuzz residue all over my fingers, and the next time I touched my mustache, I transferred a bunch in there. So one of the other things I will say that you can do is, depending on your facial hair, where you're grabbing from, if you have like a beard, right, watch out how much hair you're grabbing from right here. Not that you can't, but if you grab the hair, right, from down here, pinch it together, open your mouth like that. If you are getting a lot of tension in here, most likely what'll happen to me, or what'll happen to you is what happened to me, which is later in the day, I'd eat a sandwich or yawn, and it would pull the mustache apart like that. And then I'd try to piece it back together. So what I started doing was I would bunch it up, open my mouth, and then anything that had tension, I'd take a comb and pull it out, right? So how often do I use the rollers? It depends. I like to use them more on the weekends. Oh, there's a mustache hair in my sweet tea. I like to put the rollers in, and there's what's called a front and a back roll, and I'll demonstrate real quick. I do have videos on YouTube and here on Instagram. So I'll straighten out my mustache, right? Oh, I can demonstrate on this side. I'll use a beard oil, a beard balm while it's lightly damp, right? Take the mustache, and what you do, elongate it out. And this is a bigger roller. I've got smaller ones. And I put the roller underneath, pull it out, okay? Put it in, and then what I do is I roll it underneath and roll it back like this, right? Now, I let it sit like this for 40 minutes to an hour, right? And that's why I say normally I do it on the weekend. So what happens is, after the hour, and I pull it loose, the mustache curls back towards the cheek. Well, I don't want it to do that, so then what I'll do is elongate the mustache, right? Put the roller on top, and then I will roll it back, turn it the same way, and then about half of the time that I rolled it back method, I'll do front method. And when you pull it, see how it's coming more forward? That's kind of how I found that it balances which way my mustache will tip. The smaller the roller, the tighter the curl you can get, right? Now, you can do that with a little bit of hairspray. I typically do it with just beard oil, beard balm, or a light mustache wax. And the reason I do that is later, I can take a mustache comb, right, run it through, and it's okay, and it'll snap back. And sometimes I just have to take the hairs and push them around like that. You can take your comb from underneath, right? Same thing. If you go from underneath, it'll bring it back towards the jawbone. If you go down from the top and do it this way, it'll tilt it forward. So, as I showed earlier, twisting the mustache, I didn't necessarily care for that because it didn't make my mustache look the way I wanted. So it looked thick here, and then I'd have this really long part. And if I wasn't doing it in English, I'd try to bend it. And the entire time I was doing it, it would like try to do like this, right? So if you get a mustache that curls around like that, it's because it's twisted up, right? And so I don't like to do it like that. That's just my personal preference. Now, if you're trying to get the mustache out of your mouth, hold on, I'm gonna comb this out. So what you can do is, as these hairs in here get longer, right, is get your wax in here on the leading edge, and you apply it here and kind of pinch it together. Pinch it together, and what it'll do is it'll form a little space right there where you can typically eat, right? I got one little loose hair. It's really long. I'm going to wrap it all the way around. Look at that. Or what I've seen some guys do, and I've done it as well, is they'll style their mustache this way, right? Both sides, so that it's definitely away from the mouth, right? Boom. And it's got that nice part, you know, because we're not, and most of you are probably like me, not concerned about necessarily getting food in. Obviously, you don't want to walk around with a bunch of food, but you don't want to chew it. You don't want to bite it. You don't want to get it in your mouth. And for those guys out there that, you know, they're misses or misters, they don't want to kiss and get a mouthful of hair, then you could definitely do it like this. Brush it off to the side, and then you style it kind of that way. You just got to get some more wax in there. See, some of my short hairs from underneath will start to stick out. And I found for me, this style like this starts to fall apart. So what I typically do is I go down and away. And when I'm styling, I go towards my shoulder and I'll bend it back just a little to combat the mustache tipping forward. Hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that. So let me get a little more wax in here. So another method that I've done, I call it the barrel method. I have a barrel and a cigar. It's just names I gave it. I mean, nobody really said, hey, you're doing the cigar method. What's going on, Tom? So let me get a little wax in here. Grab a little bit to get that away. All right, so the barrel method, right? If I'm going to do an English, I'm going to style it kind of as horizontal or up as I can, right? Now, I don't want it to be flat like that, so I'm going to do what I call the barrel method. So what I'm trying to do is take those hairs, and I'm going to take my hand, and I'm basically going to try to get the hair like that. And hopefully it'll make more sense as I'm doing it. But I will take it, kind of pinch it down, and then I take this hand, and I kind of scrunch it together, right? And what I'm trying to do is make it thicker at this end out to, say, like a point without twisting. And the reason I do it like this is I can run a comb through this later and not worry so much about yanking hairs as much as if I tried to twist it, right? With an English, you can either go straight out or give it a slight curl. Don't you dare, Siri. Okay? That's what I'm trying to do. And then I try to pinch it. And for me, the English, if you really look at the guys that rock an English, they use like the first 75% of the mustache. They're not using hair from down here. They're using hair from up here. And typically it'll come out from about here versus where mine is, which is at the corner of my mouth. So whenever I try to do an English, it's a little bit harder for me because I got a lot more hair I'm trying to get into position. But hopefully you can see how I'm doing this with my hand. Right? I call that the barrel method, right? And I would obviously put in more wax and I would try to angle it up to start for a little while because I know that it's going to start to come down and I want it to be level. But as you can see, it's starting to make a pretty nice English. Had to shave today after 6 months. Oh no! Ballooned up and they shaved my face. Oh, wasp stung you. I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. So that's my barrel method. Now I will show you what I call the cigar method. Which it's been a while since I did it, but I think it produces kind of the same result. It all depends. And these are just methods that I played around with, right? All right, so I'm just taking a little bit. Squeeze. And once again, for those of you tuning in late, this is Cowell's mustache wax out of Australia. Wonderful wax. All right, I'm going to get a little wax in here. And I got to remember, this is a while since I did this. All right. But the cigar method, if I remember right, is I'm going to hold this like a cigar and just kind of do this. And it kind of keeps a thicker presence, right? And I'm not bunching it up as much. And I found the inside of my hand, the mustache is rubbing against it, which can kind of help shape it instead of me just constantly pinching it. But that's what I call the cigar method, right? And I'd go back and I'd fix that, right? And I typically will do one side of my mustache, then go on the other, because as I'm looking at symmetry, I may have to adjust this side to match this side. But if this side looks better, I try to make maybe this side match that side. And it all comes from practice, patience, and repetition, doing it every single day. How do I deal with those loose hairs, like towards the center, want to go under the rest of the hairs? Very good question. So I do my mustache in what I call 2 stages. There's the base shaping, and then I finalize it, right? So in the base shaping, what I'm trying to do is get the wax in, get the hair trained to go a certain direction, right? Like bend it back towards my ear. And then I let it set for a little bit, right? And then I'm only going to rub the wax a little bit, keeping it really tacky and putting it really only where I need it to go. Like, see how that end is loose? I would put a little more wax right there on the end, and then that allows me to start bending it, right? And it's already been somewhat trained, right? Because this side has very little wax right there. Hello, Mexico. But this side has had enough in here where it's starting to come back to that room temperature consistency, so I can start shaping it. And then what I would do is I would go back over this area with a little more wax. Always start here, make your way out, no matter if you're on stage 1 or stage 2. Because the more you breathe, right, your mouth and your nose is warm, moist air, which can really soften it up right there. What's going on, educated beards? I'm going to have to do your mustache wax maybe next weekend. We'll give that a try. I'll do a live. Show everybody how I use their mustache wax. But today is cowls. Oh, see that? I dropped the mustache comb. It's lost forever. Anyways, so I always have spares. I'm going to go back and show you what my more preferred method is. So when I first started shaping my mustache, I did it very similar to the technique that I'm about to show you, which I call the pinch and slide, right? Basically, what I'm doing is I'm aligning the hairs vertically, right? Like this. And if you look at it from the side, it is thinner, but I like the way it looks from front on, right? And when my mustache was much shorter, I would thin it out like this, flatten it out, and it, when it just came to about here, it came out to this beautiful tip, right? And I got away from it where I was doing the other ones where I did the landing strip and I did the twisting, all of that stuff. And then one day I was like, I'm going to go back to the way it used to look. Now that it's longer, I wonder what I could do with it. Try not to goop on a ton of wax in this stage 1. So as you can see, though, my mustache is different lengths, right? So if you're really looking for a full looking handlebar, right? You need these hairs in here. They're not as long as these guys, right? But in order to make it look fuller through here, you need that. Now, if you trim over the middle and you're just doing the ends, that's still a handlebar mustache. It may not look as fuller. So there's that awkward stage where you got to let this stuff grow over the top lip and get below the bottom lip, right? So as soon as it starts to get in your way, get you a little bit of wax and just start pushing the middles up and away. Every day, put a little bit in, carry a little bit of wax with you. You just take a little bit and put it in there and push it up and away. Pinch it, and then open your mouth a little bit. Sometimes I pull hair in too tight and it will come apart if I open my mouth or move it. I'll hear it pop, which is a funny, funny sound. All right. Let's see if I can recover this because I put more wax in than I was hoping. But my mustache, I think this side likes to go like up and out, and this side likes to go down and out. So I have to use wax to control it. Yeah, see, this guy's not wanting to pay attention. It's because I've combed it a couple times. I've been playing with it a couple times. But I'm pinching, and these fingers are sliding across to flatten it out, keep the hairs in line. Now, if I add more wax, what I've got to do is I've got to give it just a little bit of time to come back to room temperature to firm back up. This is a really good wax that I could leave in probably a couple of days and still maintain in pretty good shape. See, if you remember, if you've been watching since the beginning, I was taking a lot of wax. I'm just going to take a little bit, rub it between my fingers, coat those fingers. Oh, yeah, I need to do these more often because I get a lot of questions. And I try to type it out like, oh, you should do this. You should do that. This is how I do this. When I can just do a video, then somebody can go back and watch the replay. But I'm pinching and sliding. So I'm applying the wax, and you can kind of see it's still a little bit on those fingers, but I'm going across, and I'll get that guy here in a little bit. I'm almost done with stage 1. See, these guys right here, they're not all the same length, which is fine. And if you're thinking of trimming your mustache, I say shape it. Shape it every day. If you say today, I really think I should trim it up, right? Then mark your calendar. Give yourself 3 weeks. That's what I did. And what I did was every day I would, replay Mons. I would try to shape it the same way. And the reason is all these hairs are different lengths, right? So if I accidentally did that, right, and the hairs aren't quite aligned, and I cut that off, and then the next day I go in here, and this is now shorter because I trim this off. This is going to be longer, and I'm going to have to trim it. Then I got to go over here and trim it. And then you're trimming, and you got a little sliver, and you get frustrated, you cut it off, and you say, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. So give yourself 3 weeks. And typically what I do is I'll go, okay, it looks like I need to trim off like maybe, a 1/4 inch. I shape my mustache out with wax. Then I measure it from the middle of my mouth out. And I go, okay, what am I looking at? Let's say I'm at 4 1/4 inches. And I measure this side and it's at 4 1/2. I'm like, okay, well, I want to go to 4 inches. So I'll pinch it at 4 inches, pinch it at 4 inches. And I cut it, not straight, but I cut it at an angle. And the reason being is, if it's all the same length and I push it up this way, then the inside right here is going to be really, really long and it'll be really thin, right? So I want it to be layered so that it helps form that curve, right? That's why I do it. Oh yeah, do not make a drastic, like, oh, I'm going to trim it. Like, let me cut off this much today. And then you look at that side and you cut it off. And then the next day you're combing it out. And guess what? The hairs weren't exactly aligned. So now you've got this, hair pattern. I don't think I'm showing it right. This hair pattern that's weird like this. And you're like, well, I need to trim these guys so that they're all the same length. And then this side over here is long. So now you're trimming it. And next thing you know, you're just, I used to trim up my neck when I had my beard for many, many years. I'm like, well, let me trim up the neck a little. And I trim here. I said, okay, well, I need to do this side. Next thing you know, I'm up to the jawline on both, right? Then I'm like, oh, God. And then, oh, I made a mistake, but I need to do that. So let's go to a goatee. So just do a little bit and say, okay, I'll check it again maybe in a couple of days after I've combed it, after I've washed it. The average mustache has about 600 hairs in it. So you're going to lose hairs almost all the time. Gave your trim style name the katana. Yeah. All right, so this side, I've got some wax in. I'm going to let it firm up. I was trying not to goop too much in there. If you're having issues with wax, right, you're putting it on, make sure the mustache is dry, no oils or balms, and you're putting wax in it and it doesn't seem to be doing what you want, step back, okay? Don't goop on more wax because what you've done is you've put pliable wax on top. So the wax underneath is not firming up because you put more wax on top. Let it firm up a little bit and then come back and reassess it. Worst come to worst, you can comb it to thin the wax out, maybe put it back together, small layers. Or worst come to worst, if you're like, rah, wash it all out. Do a maintenance day. Wash it all out. Put beard oil, put beard balm, blow dry it, brush it back, and just be like, I'm going to rock it today. And then assess it tomorrow and be like, okay, let me start over. But a clean, dry mustache will help out a lot. Because wax is oil soluble. All right, now I'm going to do this other side. Once I get done with stage 1, we're going to open up 2 of the things I have for miracle. All right, so you see how much I'm gathering up there? Definitely more than a pea, because I know my mustache is a lot thicker. I need this wax to really get in between all these hairs. So what's going on, Alan? So I'm going to, as you can see, it's sticky, right? But I'm going to rub it in there, coat the fingers, warm it up, right? Now, look at that. It's not sticking as much. So, run my hand to try to keep the hairs aligned. Start right here in the middle. This will help, too, with those straggler hairs in the middle. Is returning back to the middle, I'm adding you know, a coat after another coat. As you can see, that wax is coming off pretty quick. And if your mustache is not as big as mine, it's still just as beautiful. Start with that pea size, right? Because you can always add a little more in small layers, right? I'm gonna bend that back just a hair. And that's another way I try to fight it tipping forward. But if I bend it back too much, like I had one the other day where it wanted to sit here and the other one was perfect, and I kept trying to bend it forward, it's all right. I still got a little bit on there, but I'm wiping my hands off to get my hands to be less tacky. You get a lot of wax build up in there, and later you're making an adjustment and you're pinching, your hands could stick to the mustache and pull it right apart. That can be super frustrating. So typically I will do 3 coats of wax with a small 4th out on the end. Then I step back, I let it harden up for about 5 minutes. All right, so as you can see, a little more than a regular pea size, a little bigger. All right, look at that. I'm gonna coat the fingers, starting right here again. And I'm doing underneath and above. And I'm using my thumb on this hand as I come underneath to try to keep the hairs in line, right? If you get a hair that's out of place, right, it'll feel like a knot on the bottom, like a little bump. And then what I do is I take my fingernail underneath and I try to just pull it loose a little. I try not to comb it if I don't have to, because combing it will spread the wax, but it does like thin it out. And sometimes you just got to give it a little extra time. All right, see, I'm trying to watch these guys. I'll play with that here in a minute. Boop, boop, boop. Give it a little bend. I think that was coat number 2, right? All right. Tipping, yes. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to jump on today and definitely go over this video. Because, I mean, that's how I combat it, and it seems to work for me. If it doesn't work for you, you know, at least it gives you somewhere to try or a starting point. So coat number 3, all right, coating the fingers. And I coat multiple fingers, starting right there in the middle. And I'm taking these fingers and I push down right here, and I'm pinching with these guys, right? To kind of give it a slope. And this is what I mean when I say back towards the ear. I'm using my thumb to pinch, and like bending a pipe, I'll bend it back just a little bit, just a little. And I'll do this side the same way, right? Like bending a pipe. And I don't always have to do them exactly the same. And it's not done, so it can look a little uneven. As you can see, this side is thicker and then it goes straight. This side has a beautiful, and that's why I do one side and then the other, because I can look at it and go, okay, how do I fix this side? Well, let me straighten it out a little bit. Let me flatten it out. And then I'll take my finger up top and I just slide it, right? Push it in a little bit. Don't pinch too hard. And they're already looking closer to being more symmetrical, which I'll fix. All right, so there's 3 coats. So how long does it take? Complete your routine when you're not teaching like this. Typically, my routine averages about 20 minutes for a standard like imperial, right? If I'm using 2 different waxes, like a medium and a strong, it might be 25 minutes. Oh, I grabbed too much wax there. I just wanted a little bit. Okay, now I'm only rubbing a little. And this side is a little tacky, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to go right here on the ends where those loose hairs are. That's what I'm really trying to focus on, is getting these coated with a wax. Ah, look at that. See, that's what happens. You see that? You see me pull it apart? Because I had tacky hands. tacky hands. All right. And I might just pinch together. I mean, I might flatten it out, but what I'm trying to do is kind of get it trained to be at a point. And I'm going to wipe these off so I don't make the same mistake on the other side. But yeah, my average time is about 20 minutes. Just a little bit, just a little rub. See how it's still sticky? I want it to be that sticky, right? And I'm really trying to concentrate either on this leading edge, but a lot to be up here on the tips. This is where that hair alignment really comes in. I can see, I don't know if you guys can see it. I've got a hair right here that's supposed to be up on the top, but it's down over there. Oh yeah, definitely. Thanks for stopping by, Tom Stash Wax from Poland. So let me see this other side. Bend it back. Give it a little bit. I'm just going to kind of do that for right now. I've got a little wax right here. Come in. I'll probably pull that apart when we go to the second layer. Pull it apart more and bring it back together. Just trying to get that wax to where it sticks. Because it's like using hair rollers, I guess, in your hair. If you leave them in overnight, the curls will stay longer. So the longer I can let it sit like this while the wax starts to firm up a little bit, the better. And then it'll allow me to shape it into what I want a little bit faster. All right. So that concludes what I call stage one. I have made the basic shaping. I've got some wax in there, started here and worked my way out. And I can already tell I need a little more right there. Just because I've been breathing, I've been talking, that can loosen up those middle hairs. So unless you can figure out how to go through the day, oh, look at that, without breathing at all, right? Then keep going over this area to build up the layers, and it strengthens it. It's like a foundation of a house. Okay, so the intermission, right, where we take about 5 minutes, is a little mail call. So the first one that I'm going to go through is the wonderful folks over at Leatherlung Mustache Wax. They reached out to me and asked if I would try some of their waxes. I love to try waxes out, get some feedback. I am not an expert. I've just been doing it a lot, and I love sharing. So let's see what we got in here. You guys can see in there, right? I hope so. All right, so the first one is a 1 ounce tin of tobacco. All right, I'm going to sit down here real quick. The second one, ooh, this is coffee. Who doesn't love coffee scented stuff, right? And this, my friends, is leather. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack open the coffee from our friends at Leatherlung Mustache Wax. I wanted to make sure I didn't, say it wrong. I with Cowls, which I'm using today, right? I'm like, how do I say this? Is it Cowells? He said, no, it's Cowls, right? So once I got it, I feel better about saying it. All right. So Leatherlung Mustache Wax. This is a 1 ounce tin. All right, let's see. Ooh, look at that coloring. Predominantly beeswax, I'm going to say. Now, if you get a new wax and it's scented, scrape the top just a little, right? Because that very top layer of the wax will be a little harder as it cools. That way, oh my God, you can expose it. That is a wonderful coffee aroma. So I got a little bit. Let's get it between the fingers. Squish it. Oh, wow. Look at that. Squish it. Roar! And who decided that? Look at that. Oh, it's got a good stick to it. That is nice. That is nice. I cannot wait to try that. That will be this week. I promise. Leatherlung. I promise. So thank you so much for those. Ooh. Can we just take 5 minutes? I'm going to put it right there on my nose so I can smell some coffee. No, I don't want to overpower the Cowls Outback scent. This is a good scent. I also have the Cowles Cherry and Vanilla, which is very good. So thank you very much to Lung Leather for the coffee, the tobacco, and the leather. I look forward to trying these out and giving you some feedback. Now, on for the second package of mail call. All right, this is from my good friends over at Mountaineer brand. Wonderful company. They've got everything under the sun that you might want. Oh, look at that. This is a styling stick. These are really good if you have a beard and you have flyaway hairs. These are typically like a balm with a little bit of beeswax in it to tame down those wild hairs. As you can see, there's a little more in there. Oh my gosh. Smokey Bourbon Mountaineer brand shave puck. I know what I'm shaving with next. Smokey Bourbon. I have their beard oil, beard balm, and I had their organic deodorant, which is the Smokey Bourbon. This is absolutely amazing. Should I just do a live where I sniff things for you guys? Just sniff it. Ooh, smell that. It'll be like smell-o-vision, right? Somebody just needs to develop a device that as I'm showing something spritz you as you're watching, right? Smokey Bourbon. Oh, let me get it out of this bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is like my kryptonite. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, Smokey Bourbon shave oil. Oh my God, this is so awesome. So why use a shave oil versus a aftershave? Shave oils are kind of like a beard oil, but they're designed to go on your face to soothe it and help heal it. I get nicks all the time. I'm not a shaving expert. I've been shaving for 36 years. I nick myself all the time. And instead of burning my face with aftershave, right, I put a shave oil on. It heals it. It makes my skin look so beautiful. Look at that. I have such beautiful skin. Oh my gosh. I'm in seventh heaven. Smokey Bourbon, shave oil, and shave balm. These are wonderful to use on your face. Smokey Bourbon shave puck. Oh my goodness. If you guys haven't already, the whole essence of lathering up your own soap and applying it. Oh my God. I used sandalwood the other day. It still smells like it. Oh my God, that's so good. It's an awesome feeling. I got to give a shout out to Naked Armor for this shave scuttle. So if you already, have a lather bowl, this you fill with hot water, right? And then I do it from my coffee pot, and I put a tiny bit of that coffee pot water right in here, and basically, as I'm lathering it up, right, it keeps it super hot, and that is a feeling I cannot describe to you other than, going to like a cool barber. So once again, thank you so much to Mountaineer brand, Smokey Bourbon, shave oil, shave balm. I will be shaving tomorrow using these. I am truly excited. I will be using, let me get it out of the package. Ooh, boop. Their shave puck. Ooh, hold on. Let me show you what it is. Look at that. That puck in there. You can take it out, right? If you don't have a lather bowl, take your puck out, put it in the lid, right? And just work your brush right over the top. Oh my gosh. Let's just take a little break. Just enjoy the small things in life. Wow, that smells really good. And then you put it right back in. Truly amazing. All right. Let's get back to why you guys are here. I did the mail call. Thank you to Leatherlung. Thank you, Mountaineer brand. Truly awesome. Look forward to trying both of these. Today's shaping, I'm showing you how I use Cowles Outback scented mustache wax. We covered a couple things where I talked about use no oils, no balms when you're going to style your mustache with a mustache wax because it's oil soluble. So if you put a balm or an oil in and you're putting wax on, it's not going to firm up like this. It's going to stay that pasty, and it can be super frustrating, especially if you're trying to get to work on time. Yeah. When I was putting beard oil in my mustache, I would spend like an hour and 15 minutes trying to get my mustache to do what it did, like say the day before. I didn't understand that it wasn't firming up because I was using beard oil. All right. I covered how I shape my mustache versus twisting, the landing pad, to the barrel method, to the cigar method. This is the pinch and slide. Hold on a second. Got to get my sweet tea. Start in the middle and work your way out. Start in your middle, work your way out. As you breathe, it's going to soften that hair up so that if you add the wax from here outward, it gives these hairs the best chance to stay together. And it can prevent some of these loose hairs. Now, I did stage 1. Now I'm getting ready to do stage 2. Depending on how the mustache is acting, sometimes I will run a comb through between stages 1 and 2. Today I'm not going to do it because it seems to be grabbing most of the hair. I don't seem to have any loose hairs. I might comb it if the hairs if they clump up, like these hairs and these hairs, I'll comb them to spread it, and then I'll pinch them all back together like that. But it doesn't seem that that is the case today. So cowls, Australian made, Outback scent. Now I'm going to do the second stage. So I'm going to use less, all right? Now, if I'm doing right hand, I really should be doing this side, but we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to rub it together a little bit. See how sticky that is? I want to keep it kind of that sticky. So go back to the middle. Sorry, I got to focus. Can't talk and focus. And I'm giving it, I'm putting a little bit of tension on it, pulling it towards my shoulder, right? And we talked about this earlier. I combat it tipping forward by bending just a little bit towards my ear, like that. You see that? So, got one little hair right there. One little hair right there. All right. And we're going to make this side look more like that side. But I do one side at a time so that I can try to keep them as symmetrical as possible. True symmetry, I've gotten really close, but I don't think I really nailed it. It's really hard. Once you think you got it done, get a picture, then you'll go back and you'll look and you're like, oh, I had my head tilted. So I'm just going to rub it a little bit. I just put a tiny bit in there. See how sticky that is? Now I'm going to come in here and really start to get it into some kind of shape. Yellow booger. I'm trying to look here and there at the same time. And I can already see I got one hair up on the top. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, this hand needs to be clean. If this hand is tacky and I'm holding here, it'll stick to the mustache and pull it apart. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just where it comes down a little bit and that bend starts, I'm going to start pinching just a little bit and angling it up, moving the pinching hand down. I don't bend it all over at once. I found for my mustache, the hairs will start to come apart. And make a little adjustment there on that edge to get these hairs right here. Right there. Oh, yellow booger. And just so you know, bad days are good days. Bad days are good days. Hopefully I said that right. Because even on a bad day, you went through your routine, you learned something, and the next day you can be like, oh, when I was doing this thing, it started messing up. So let me see if I can't counter that, So I'm working on the one side. I'm trying to clean up this edge. Because all those hairs that were like that, I'm bending them. So I have to keep them in line, otherwise they'll start to pop out. At least for this style of the mustache. And as you can see, they're right there, right? And if I bend them over too quickly, then it starts to break down this imperial. So by putting a little bit in between your fingers and going over these touch-up spots, right, and only rubbing a little bit, it firms up a little bit quicker, right? So as not to have tacky hands, can do that. Then I'm going to add a little more to this side, right? As you can see, it's just a tiny bit. I don't know why. You can use a guitar pick. I typically use the right thumb. Just a tiny bit. Just going to rub it a little bit because I want it to be tacky. I don't want it to be too warm. I really want it to keep the hairs together. Like, you know, it's like sticky. And if I have any loose hairs, this kind of grabs them up. Like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but right there on the end is a little bit of a loose hair. That's because I'm bending it, right? And so I still got a tiny bit of the wax right there. As you can see, it's still sticky. And that's what I'm putting on that end. And I'll fix it here in a little bit. Because what I do is I get the basic shape for what my goal is, right? Now I got to kind of do the same to this side. So now I'm looking at how the mustache comes out, where it bends at, and you can see this is way too low for that, right? It needs to be more up here. So now, clean off my hands. Oh yeah, anytime. I love to share. I know how frustrating it can be when you're starting off and you like read the directions and it's like, just do this stuff and your mustache will be perfect. No. It takes some practice, patience, and repetition. So now, as I did on that one, and I added 2 little layers, just a tiny bit, all right? Just putting it on there, just enough to smear it. And I'm looking for what I call like toddler hairs that I'm letting grow back again. And I'll get that little guy right there in a minute. So now I need to go this way. Bend it back a little bit, a little pinchy pinch. All right, so coming down to about there. So if I just take this and bend it over like that, that's what happens, right? It scrunches it all up. And I don't want it to do that. That's why I kind of pinch it with the one hand. I'm also looking, like I don't want it to go out like that. I want it to come down and out. So give it a little pinch. See that how that hair will pop loose? That's fine. I'm flattening it out. Trying to make sure the hairs are still aligned. See how it seems to be a little fatter right there? I can control that by pinching up here a little bit and just sliding those hairs around, keeping them in line. Sorry, if you guys are asking me anything, I am totally focused. It's starting to come along. There we go. What I did there was I kind of pinched in here, and I slid it up to flatten it out just a little bit. It's looking pretty good. This side still seems to drop down as that side goes out. It won't be perfect, but it's fine. I can just go across it like that. Patience is the devil. It is. You know, if you rush it, you may not be happy with it, and then you might start tweaking it later, and you start tweaking it when you're frustrated. See how it's still sticky? And it could start coming apart, and then, you know, like one time I was out somewhere, and it was cooler, and I was like, well, I'll just tweak my mustache, not thinking that the wax inside the tin was going to also be cooler. And when you try to do that with cooler wax, it's going to be firmer. It's not going to spread between your fingers as well. All right, this is the hard part because I'm right-handed, so I don't know why, but the left always works better on the left side of the mustache. But when I'm doing this right side, it's always harder to get this little guy right there. Maybe because when I'm doing it in the mirror, I'm blocking my vision, so I can't see how it turns out. And as you get older, like my glasses, everything's focused right in the middle. So if I look slanted, it's all like blurry and distorted. Now, how do I fix kind of the slopes and the thickness between the two? What I can do is push in just a little bit while I pinch it in the back end. And then I'm going to try to get this. This is where looking at this side and seeing how it's going from thicker to thinner and trying to match that over here while bending it back towards my eyeball just a tiny bit. Yeah, I can't see that side as well, so just bear with me, please. And this side to me still comes down a little bit. So I can try to do that. Pinch it and go behind it with my thumb and flatten it out just a hair. That looks pretty dang good. So how do you control those little loose hairs in the middle? Now you can come back through with just a little extra wax. But you got to be prepared that if you start monkeying with it, right? It's like a Jenga set. Is you start pulling through here, and you can pull a hair from here that's all the way up here out, and you got to be ready to put it back together. Wow, this Cowles is really nice wax. I mean, look at that. It's a little not as smooth right there as I would like, but I can always tweak that just a little. I mean, look at that. That turned out really, really nice. I should just quit while I'm ahead, because I could like, oh, let me touch right here. Oh, it just fell apart. No, it wouldn't fall apart. But I can see that some of the hairs are not quite aligned. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the wax, right? And this is where you come in. And as I've been going slowly, the wax in the mustache has really started to firm up. Rub it in between both. So as I make an adjustment, it's just a little minor adjustment. But, ooh, there's some thunder. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But believe me, it's not my stomach here in the bathroom. What do you guys think? Did that turn out to be quite the, I'd say it's an imperial. I like the points to be a little longer, but I'm letting the mustache grow. I like it to go from thick to a point. So normally, like, I might bump this in a little bit, you know, so that the thickest part of the mustache is here and then it starts to taper off. But I think that went pretty well for doing like a live shaping. I think it turned out pretty nice. What do you guys think? Thumbs up? Epic? Oh, thank you so much. So I got to give a shout out. This is Cowles, Australian-made mustache wax. This is their Outback scent. It smells amazing. I have the Outback and the cherry and vanilla. I believe I have black cherry on the way. Got to give a shout out to Leatherlung that sent me 3 1-ounce waxes to try. I did go through and sniff the coffee. If you want, I can do another live and we'll just sit here and sniff all the wonderful scented waxes I've got in my cabinet, my man shed, my he shed. Also, thank you to Mountaineer brand for sending me the Smokey Bourbon Shave Oil Shave Balm. Check this out. Got to do this, right? I'm on this whole kick. Booyah! Look at that. Their shave puck smells amazing. They also sent me I'm trying to make sure I say it right, styling stick, right? Because I have a sash stick, but this, their styling sticks will typically go on like a little thicker than, say, a beard balm, but it's really for those like flyaway hairs. I like to use these and then put rollers in. What's going on, Bearded Michael? So, what do you guys think, huh? Mustache came out pretty good. Thank you so much to Cowles. Thank you for the mail call. Ooh, I'm knocking over all kinds of stuff here. So anyways, you can always send me a DM with facial hair questions. I will try to answer them. I love engaging with all of you and sharing my experiences. Hopefully it helps you out. Some people have given me their experiences and then I try it out. Like I'm strictly a wax guy, but a lot of people were asking me questions about the Got2b glue. So I bought a can and used it. It's a great product. A lot of the freestyle beard guys use it. There's guys that use it in their mustache. It's not something that I go to every day. I imagine if I used it more, I'd be better at it. But I wind up getting like sticky hands. I tried it once with a Dr. Robotnik mustache where I went to the movies with my 7-year-old. And I just held the mustache up and sprayed it. And it just caked up behind the mustache over here. So typically you would spray it on your fingers, rub it in, but then my fingers were sticking in my mustache. So I like wax because I can adjust it. I can fix it. Usually with the hairspray, you get your fingers a little wet. You can kind of take care of a loose hair, but you can't really jam a comb in there without running the risk of doing yanking. So I don't have a whole lot of experience that way. If you like this Cube mustache shirt, it is by my good friend from Norway, Handlebar Cuber. There is a link in my bio to the red bubble page. It's a really, really nice shirt. For really bad days, when patience is at a very low, I use a little hairspray. Yeah. One of the things that I talk about during the summer months, if you're in a really hot area, style it up, say with wax, and then maybe put a little hairspray on it. I call it a hybrid method, and run the hairspray on. And what it does is it will like firm it up, right? The problem is I did that once and one side of my mustache was up just a little bit higher. So it set like that. Well, now that I had hairspray over, I couldn't adjust it. So it was like my mustache was like this throughout the day. And so I got mad and put a comb in and was like, I'm doing it over. And I yanked a bunch of hair out. And I was very sad that day. So yeah. So thank you again to Cowls. Thank you again to Leatherlung for the wax. I look forward to trying it out. Thank you to Mountaineer brand for the shave puck. I seriously am excited to try this out and probably spend the rest of the afternoon just sniffing this. I want to say thank you to all of you guys. You make this possible. I love your support from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate all of you. I'm Bob. This is Elliot Norris, my mustache. This is my Cowls Outback scented mustache that I did here live. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you're late and wondering what everything's about, you can go back to the beginning and watch replay. What do I use? Heal cuts. Stuff like shave oils. Shave oils help heal your face. So do the shave balms. You throw some aftershave on and that can definitely irritate it. It may not irritate you, but I know with me, because I get nicks all the time, if I throw an aftershave on, man, that stuff burns. I found that the shave oils really help like condition my skin, heal the cuts. Some of them have like tea tree oils, different stuff like that that help. I have one that has hemp oil in it, and I mean, look at that skin. Beautiful skin. I use a straight razor, safety razor. I nick myself all the time. I gave myself a bad nick on this side just a couple weeks ago. It's gone. I mean, you can't even really tell it was there. So that's what I use, shave oils, right? A lot of companies make them. This is from Mountaineer brand, the Smokey Bourbon. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. It's got that wonderful Smokey Bourbon that I really loved in their deodorant, their organic deodorant. Anyways, let me get off of here before I sound too much like a commercial. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for anyone who watched the replay and hung in here to the entire end. Thank you guys. Happy Sunday. You have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I think it's about to downpour, so I got to get the dogs outside before they don't want to go out in the rain. I love you all. I'm Bob, and this is Elliot Norris, my mustache, wishing you a wonderfully bearded day. When will I go live again? I'll try to do it at least next weekend. So I'll let you know, though. Yeah, you guys have a good